Welcome back to Kiesel News, everybody. To start today off, we have news that there's officially going to be an Abbott Elementary and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia crossover episode. And, this is a crossover that I definitely didn't expect. I mean, you see sitcoms crossover all the time, but I always found Always Sunny to be, more edgy, especially in comparison to Abbott Elementary, right? So it'll be interesting to see these two crossover. I haven't even really seen much of Abbott Elementary, so I don't know, I would have preferred a different crossover, but still, like I say, it's going to be interesting. Next, I just want to talk about the colossal failure that is Joker 2. It opened with 7 million in domestic previews, which is almost 50% less than the first films. And if that wasn't bad enough, it earned 121 million worldwide in its opening weekend, and it needs 450 million to break even, because even though the budget was 200 million, so much more goes to like advertising and all this shit, especially for Joker 2, right? Because I saw tons of advertisement for this. So yeah, the movie's been out for its opening weekend, and it hasn't even made back a quarter of the money that it needs, or just over a quarter. So it's fucking insane, man. And as for the domestic opening weekend, it was almost 3 times lower than the first film. And it was lower than The Flash and The Marvels, and almost the same as Morbius. Now, nothing's going to be as bad as Morbius, but the fact that Joker 2 got to that level is absolutely insane, because think about it. No one, I guarantee you, there was probably like 5 people who weren't like die-hard Marvel fans, who all they consumed is Marvel, who knew what Morbius was, right? And that's probably why Morbius didn't do super well. Also because it wasn't connected to the MCU, shit like that. But people know who Joker is. He's one of the most iconic villains of all time, and a lot of people really liked the first movie and saw the first movie. So the fact that Joker 2 has done this bad has really, really surprised me. I thought the movie was going to do extremely well. But that's obviously not the case, because it's not even that it's just not making money. It's been terribly reviewed. It has a D on Cinema Score, which is apparently the worst score for any superhero movie ever. Once again, I guess calling Joker a superhero movie is generous, but you know what I mean. Anyways, people are also blaming the movie's failure on James Gunn not being involved whatsoever. But I mean, think, the first movie was fucking pretty good, and that was before James Gunn took over DC and everything. So it proves that Todd Phillips can do better. And I mean, who knows? Maybe this movie is actually awesome, and what everyone has said about it is completely wrong. I haven't seen the movie myself, but I just think it's egregious to say that James Gunn not being involved was basically the catalyst for this movie being bad, because that's clearly not the case. And also, if you have to rely on one guy for all your movies to be good, I don't think that says a lot of good things about your studio either. Like, I could see if it was part of the DCU, because, yeah, then you want to have James Gunn involved, because you always want to have a guy who's, like, at the top of the cinematic universe to, like, watch over everything, right? But this was its own thing. It wasn't necessary to have James Gunn involved. Sam Raimi is apparently coming back to direct Doctor Strange 3, and honestly, I'm good with this. I definitely don't think Sam Raimi was the issue with Doctor Strange 2. I thought the movie was fine on its own. It was just somewhat disappointing because it didn't really use the multiverse to its fullest effect, I guess. And no, I don't mean there was a lack of cameos. That's not what I care about. I actually think the cameos were the worst part of the movie. I just don't think that they really showed what the multiverse could do. Like, what we saw, like, one other universe to 2 main universes. Like, yeah, they went to another ones for like 2 seconds. But for a movie that's called Multiverse of Madness, that didn't really focus much on it. But once again, I don't blame Sam Raimi for it at all. I just blame, like, a lack of overall, like, basically, I think they hyped the movie up too much, I guess. The actual movie itself was alright, and I think the horror aspect was one of my favorite parts about it. So I'm definitely down to have Sam Raimi do the third one, especially since he clearly has a vision after he set up the post-credit scene and everything. Ubisoft is planning to release 10 Assassin's Creed games over the next 5 years. Are you serious? Now, this is especially ballsy because they just delayed Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and they're already like, oh yeah, we're doing 10 games in the next 5 years. Now, like, people shit on Pokemon for doing 1 game a year. I'm not saying they really should. I think they rushed them out too fast. That's why I'm glad Legends EA has taken its time to come out and polish. But anyways, like, 2 games a year is nuts. The only game series that I think that doesn't suffer from having a multitude of releases is Like a Dragon, but that's because the games are like so fundamentally similar, and I guess the Assassin's Creed games are too. You just tweak the story a little bit, and then the actual gameplay is the same every time, so I guess it wouldn't take much to make a game, right? But 2 games a year seems like they're really overstepping it, unless they get like different studios and like third-party developers to do certain games. Next up, we have an update on Five Nights at Freddy's 2 by John Hutcherson, and he says that it's apparently going to be bigger and scarier. And he says that the world is just going to open up because so many different animatronics are going to be brought in, but it also apparently stays really grounded. So what I'm kind of getting from this is maybe they're going to take some of the newer animatronics and newer things from the modern era of FNAF, but they're going to like keep it kind of chill like the older games. So instead of, having like, oh, a glitch trap, a virus, all that shit, they just take like Gregory and the Pizzaplex, and then they just like put them in. The most intriguing thing about this update to me, though, is that it'll be scarier, because that's really what the first movie was lacking most of anything, was the scariness factor. Like, it's FNAF. I should be literally being jump scared almost every 2 minutes, and there was like, maybe 1 jump scare in the entire movie, and there was 1 semi-gory scene. They really need to step it up in the second movie, and I really hope they do that. Third-person Halo is officially coming to Halo Infinite, guys. Whoa. Yeah, honestly, people are like, whoa, did anyone really want this? Was this really necessary? And while I agree that adding other things to the game, such as, maybe another story expansion, are more important than this, I think that this is a pretty good feature, as now it'll be even easier for people to make machinima with the game, preventing them from having to go into theater mode and all that shit. At least I assume that's how they still did it with Infinite. I haven't machinimated in Infinite myself, because I don't have Infinite, but, I've machinimated in Halo 3 and 4, and that's always how I would do it, going into theater mode. So this just seems like an easier way for people to do that. So I'm definitely for it. Okay, I recorded that last bit about Halo before this news came out, but this news just came out today, being that 343 Industries has just renamed themselves to Halo Studios, because they're entirely focusing on Halo, and all future Halo games are going to be made in Unreal Engine 5, as opposed to the Slipspace engine for Halo Infinite, which I think is a great call, because if you see the images that they've shown in their tech demo, it just looks absolutely gorgeous. It is funny, though, because Red vs. Blue is my main exposure to Halo, not even the games primarily, and they used Unreal Engine 5 for a lot of their excess animation, but now it makes me wonder if that stuff will technically count as being in-game machinima now, if people were to use Unreal Engine 5, since the game is made in Unreal Engine 5, right? Or at least it's going to be. But yeah, the fact that they renamed themselves to Halo Studios, and they're apparently working on multiple projects at the same time, for one, shows that they have in fact given up on Halo Infinite. That so much for that 10-year plan. But I think that's for the best, especially with them working on multiple projects at once. It signifies that we're not just going to be following the same storyline again and again and again with Master Chief, because I doubt they'd be working on Halo 7 and 8 at the same time. They're probably working on the next mainline Master Chief one, and then maybe Halo Wars 3 or another spin-off. And I think spin-offs are the way to go for the future of the Halo franchise, to be honest. And also, obviously, just fix the multiplayer, make the game as good as you can. But seriously, as for those concept work photos that they've shown, I know it's just concept work and it's probably not going to be what the actual game looks like, but that shit looks like it's like live action like the Halo show, honestly. So if that's what it's going to look like, I am so down for that. That looks beautiful. Jack Doherty has crashed his McLaren because he was using his phone while driving it. And the worst thing about this whole situation was he was more concerned about his McLaren and fucking recording the footage for the internet than the safety of his friend who was in the car with him. And this has, of course, backfired on him, thankfully, as he's now being viewed terribly in the public eye, and he has been permanently banned on Kick. Now, I'm actually shocked that Kick actually took action here, because they don't seem to ever really care about fucking anything, right? But I guess this was too serious even for them. I'm so glad to see Jack Doherty done. I'm so sick of hearing about him on, like, fucking Drama Alert, Dexter, and all that shit. He's basically, like, he's from that era of YouTube, from, like, 2016, with, like, Jake Paul, Rice Gum, all that. But the thing is, Rice Gum fucking as a kid now, he's left the internet, basically. Jake Paul, he's done fucking boxing. Like, obviously Jake Paul is still not the best ever, but, you know, my point is, he's moved on from the internet, for the most part, while Jack Doherty has stayed, and somehow hasn't lost full relevance. And I really hope that this means that he's gonna lose full relevance after this, because I don't think he should have stayed famous at all. And yeah, I just hope this is basically the end for him. This is fucking despicable. For one, you're on a live stream, right? You should be setting a better example, especially for Jack Doherty fans, because I assume they're all like 10 years old, right? What kind of example is that setting to be on your phone texting while you're driving, bro? Like, are you serious?